Hello, my name is Dennis, and welcome to my trailer park white trash mobile home kitchen. I really do live in a mobile home, in a trailer park, and this is my kitchen. I am going to be making today something from my childhood, Pirogi. My mom used to buy these frozen in the grocery store and then thaw them and fry them in butter. I haven't seen them out here in California. They may be in the stores, I just never looked. I came up with my own recipe to make them from scratch. My understanding is that they're Russian. Some people say that they're Poland. Let's just call them Slavic. There are two different kinds also that I understand. There's piroshki, which are smaller and served as a side dish. And then there are Pirogi, which are larger and served as a main course. I don't know which one I'm going to be making because I don't know what size qualifies for each, but I'm calling mine Pirogi. So let me get into the ingredients that I'm going to be using for making my Pirogi. I am going to be making my own pasta for the pasta shells on my Pirogi. So I'm starting off with 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. That's about 5 3/4 to 6 ounces of flour, or 163 to 170 grams. It all depends upon the size of the egg as far as how much flour to use, so I'll be adjusting as I need to. Then I have 2 large eggs. As far as what a large egg is here in the United States, it's about 1.9 to 2 ounces each, 57 grams. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'll probably be adding a tablespoon of water, or more likely a tablespoon of oil, to that pasta dough as I make it, just to get it smoother. I'll explain that later. Then for the filling, I have 1 potato. You want one that's 12 to 16 ounces. Mine is almost 15 ounces. By the time I peel it, I'll end up with, it's almost 15 ounces, I'm sorry. By the time I peel it, I'll end up with about 14 ounces. So 340 to 455 grams. I have 2 ounces, 57 grams of Gruyere cheese. If you don't have Gruyere, you can substitute with Swiss cheese. I'll be grating that or shredding it. Then I have 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to be using this whole onion. You want about 1/2 of a small onion chopped for the filling. I'm going to use all of this because the way that I like to serve Pirogi is I like to caramelize the remainder of the onion and then mix that in when I'm frying it and serve that mixed with the caramelized onion. I think the Pirogi is delicious when served with caramelized onions. So about 1/2 of a small onion, which is about 1/2 of a cup of chopped onion, 4 ounces, 113 grams for the filling. Then you can use the rest for serving. And then butter or oil for frying. Those are the ingredients for traditional Pirogi or piroshki. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. That's why I'm not showing it in the ingredients. I've got a bunch of prosciutto in the refrigerator that I have to use up before it spoils. So I'm actually going to be chopping up some prosciutto and putting that in my filling as well. That is not traditional, but it's something I'm going to be doing today. So those are my ingredients for Pirogi. I know the traditional way to make pasta is to put the flour on the counter and then make a well in the middle and break your eggs into it. I don't want a mess. I can take a bowl to the sink. I can't take the counter to the sink. So I make mine in a bowl. It's been a long time since I've made this, so I'm not sure about the proportions here. My original recipe said 1 egg with all this flour. That doesn't make sense to me. There's my 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to be putting in some of my flour, mixing it in, and then adding more as I need to. I'm probably going to end up with a lot of pasta left over, in which case I will just cook that and eat that. And we have a jet going overhead. This trailer park is near the airport, yes. Okay, before I go any further, I want to add some oil to that. The reason why I'm adding oil is it'll make a smoother, softer pasta. Normally when I make, that should be enough. Normally when I make pasta, I make it in advance and let it sit on the counter or in the refrigerator for a while. And that'll help the flour. It gives time for the flour to absorb the liquid, and it'll make a smoother pasta that's easier to work with. I didn't make mine in advance, so the oil, I'm going to put the rest of my flour in there. The oil will make a softer, smoother pasta dough that'll be easier to work with because I haven't done this in advance. Okay, my next step is to get this out onto the counter and then start kneading it. I have my flour duster out because I'll probably be working a little bit more flour into this, although this is feeling pretty good already. So you just knead this until it's smooth. And you can see how well that comes together. I didn't even have to add hardly any of my flour from my flour duster. This is a nicely thick, dense pasta dough, and yet it's soft, easy to work with. I think I'm content with that. What I'm going to do is wrap that in plastic and let it sit for a little while I work on making my filling. I have, in the meantime, been bringing up water to a boil. So there go my potatoes. And these are going to take probably 15, maybe 20 minutes to become boiled to tender. I chop these kind of large, so they're not going to cook real quickly. So give this 15 minutes maybe, and then I'll check them. And in the meantime, I'm going to be grating my cheese and chopping my onion. My potatoes have been cooking for a while. I just got through chopping onions and grating my cheese. Let me see how these feel. Yeah, those are tender. So I'm going to move these to a colander in the sink and let these drain. Turn my heat off. And then next I'll be sauteing my onions. I've got my skillet heating here. Gonna pour some olive oil in there. And then I have onions chopped fine. This is a nice dice, small dice. This is going to be for the inside of the pierogi. I'm going to fry these for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. I'll go as far as 10 if I need to get these sauteed to a light golden color. I want them to be more than just tender and translucent. I actually want to color these a little bit. So this is going to go, I would guess, probably at least 10 minutes. My potatoes have drained. If you can hear any sizzling or crackling in the background, there's my onions. This is the small diced onion. You can see I got a nice golden color out of that. Meanwhile, I have put the larger pieces of onions in the skillet with butter. I want to cook those until they're well caramelized. I don't have a potato masher, so I'm going to just use a whisk. I don't have to get these mashed really fine like you would when you're serving mashed potatoes. Just get them broken down enough that they'll go into the pierogi. All right, that should be good enough right there. Who is it that calls them smashed potatoes? Get them out of my whisk. Okay. And then there's my Gruyere cheese going in, my salt, my onions. And then wipe my hands there. For a little bit of extra flavor, I'm going to just grind some black pepper in there. I don't know that that's traditional, but I'm going to do it. And then, as I've mentioned, non-traditionally, I'm going to add some finely chopped minced prosciutto in there. Get out a spoon and just mix all that in. This doesn't need any kind of egg to hold it together because the pasta is going to contain it all, those pasta shells. Keep it off the counter, and that's it. I'm not going to be fussy about that. I think that's mixed well enough. That's my filling now for my pierogi. I set up my pasta machine here on my counter. Here's my roll of pasta. I'm going to work with this half at a time and leave the other wrapped in plastic. This feels real nice and smooth, exactly how I thought it would feel by putting oil into it. If you don't have a pasta machine, you can use a rolling pin to roll this down. And I have a 3-inch cutter here that I'm going to be using for cutting my pastry casings. Just keep working this pasta thinner and thinner and thinner through the machine. By letting this sit for a while on the counter while I was doing the other ingredients, it really helped to make this pasta get smooth. I'm going to go down to, on my machine, number 5, which is the setting I usually use when making pasta anyways, noodles or whatever. All right. So there's my sheet of pasta. Then I'm going to use my cutter here. I'm probably off camera a little bit doing that one, but you'll see when I get closer. Just using my 3-inch cutter here to cut some circles of dough. And the rest of this goes back through the machine again when I work with this other piece of pasta. Okay, I put a little bit of water here on my counter that I'm going to be using to seal my pierogi. Going to put a nice spoonful of filling in the middle. That's a little bit too much. And then just going halfway around. I'm going to wet that edge. And then pinch these sides together to seal this. And I'm trying to also get I'm trying to get air out of this so that it doesn't expand too much in the pan when it's cooking. So there it is, kind of like a half moon shape. That's what I'm looking for as far as my pierogi. And another plane is going overhead. All right, so I have plenty of these to do. That's going to take me a while. Meanwhile, my onions are still cooking. We're getting close to having dinner. I thought it might be appropriate to do a close-up of folding a pierogi. I'm not going to use all that filling. Kind of make a mound in the middle, high in the middle, and kind of low on these ends. Then with a little bit of water, dampen this outer edge, and then fold this over enclosing the filling and pinching those dampened edges together. And also at the same time trying to squeeze out as much air as possible so that without a lot of air in there, it won't expand really rapidly in the boiling water. That's a pierogi. Meanwhile, I wanted you to see what my caramelized onions look like. How nice and darkly browned those are. That's going to be delicious with my pierogi. I don't have a lot here. I may even cook up some more. But that's how I like to eat pierogi, with caramelized onions. There's my bowl, empty, crumbs left in there, not much to think about. That's how much pasta I had left over. Nothing to even worry myself over. And how many pierogi did I get? I got 34. So my next step now is to get some water heating, because I want to boil these and then take them out of the boiling water and put them in a skillet and fry them. I'm going to use the same skillet that I used to caramelize those onions. I'm not even going to clean the pan. I'm just going to add more oil and some butter, because the fond, the stuff that's left in the pan after caramelizing those onions, will just add more flavor to my pierogi. I have water boiling on the stove and I have my butter heating up in this skillet. I'm going to turn my heat off on that because I'm not quite ready for that yet. And then I'm going to lower some pierogi in there. I'm going to turn it gently with my spider web strainer or spider strainer, whatever it's called, because I don't want it to stick to the bottom like pot stickers. They will stick to the bottom. And I'm going to put maybe, I don't know, 10 in there, 11. I think I've got 9 in there actually. And bring that back up to the boil. It's just coming back up to the boil. I'm going to set my timer for 2 minutes. And already one is coming to the surface. It's floating. So once they start floating up, I don't need to worry about sticking anymore. And at this point, all I really want to do is just cook the pasta. There goes my timer. I heated my butter back up again, as you can hear. I'm going to let these fry a little bit just to brown the outside some. Meanwhile, I'm going to get more pierogi in this boiling water. And that's the process. Have some boiling and have some frying. These are already starting to brown a little bit. Oh, these are looking so good. And there they are. A nice platter of fried pierogi. Can't wait to taste these. As far as how I like to eat them, set those aside. Put a few pierogi on a plate, like so. And then put some of my caramelized onion over the top. Ah, that looks absolutely fantastic. That is a great plate of pierogi. Now it's just a matter of seeing how delicious they taste. Oh, these look so delicious. Mm. Those are so delicious. The potato tastes good. You can taste the cheese in there.
Doesn't need any salt. I added a little bit of salt, and I did the filling. You saw that. Okay, I'm happy. Homemade pierogi. Excuse me. I gotta go eat my pierogi.
For a printable PDF copy of this recipe with step-by-step photographs, visit the White Trash Cooking website and look on the home page or in the recipe archive.